So usually when we think about what are the commandments that give us longevity, there are usually two that we all know about. Respecting one's parents, and, if you see an egg, a bird's egg, you separate the mum from the egg, and then you can take the eggs for yourself, shiluach haken. And usually, and we don't really understand the dynamic between the two, but we know the Torah says this. However, in this week's Torah portion, Ki Tetzeh, there is another commandment that we are offered longevity, a long life, if we maintain it. And for some reason, people don't know about it. And that is that when you are negotiating, or when you are basically negotiating, that you always balance things out. You always, the Torah talks about the stone that you always have on your scales to ensure that you give the right amount of what you need. And the question is, like, how can we understand this? How does this give one longevity, and why does it appear in this week's Torah portion? And when we read this week's Torah portion, it is full of the evils of society. What a horrible marriage looks like, what a horrible, ben sorer more, horrible child, like all sorts of horrible incidents, extreme social instances that in effect show you how evil things can be in life. However, there are other cases where, for example, when there's someone that's meant to be hung, you hang them, but then we are told you can't keep them up for so long, you need to bury them because they're created in God's image. Meaning it's meant to remind us that there is good in everyone. And if we think of these two extremes, this idea of the evil that can befall us, but also this idea that there's the potential as good in everyone, and we go back to the scales and needing to balance things out, I think the aspect of longevity is that when you balance out and you're fair, or it's more about balancing not only the right amounts, but the right amount of happiness, of anger, of being able to balance your life. Someone who's able to balance out the understanding that evil has to be dealt with in an evil manner and good with good, but then there are complicated situations. I think there's a lot to be said about why this commandment gives us longevity. Anyway, thoughts on the Torah portion of Ki Tetzeh? Shabbat Shalom.